Let me ask you something. How are you actually doing?
Not the answer you give when someone asks at work, the real answer. Because this week, a major Australian National University survey gave us the data version of that question, and the answer is genuinely alarming. Australians are less satisfied with their lives right now than at any point in recorded history. Less satisfied than during the COVID lockdowns. Less satisfied than when we couldn't leave our homes, couldn't see our families, couldn't go to work. That is a staggering finding. And today we're going to unpack exactly what it means, why it's happening, and what, if anything, can be done about it. Every few months, researchers at the Australian National University run something called the ANU poll. It's one of the most comprehensive surveys of Australian well-being in the country. They survey thousands of Australians across all ages, incomes, and backgrounds, and ask them a simple question. On a scale of 0 to 10, how satisfied are you with your life? The March 2026 result came back at 6.22 out of 10. That is the lowest number the ANU poll has ever recorded. Lower than March 2025. Lower than during the financial pressure of post-COVID inflation. And lower critically than April 2020, when much of Australia was in full lockdown. Professor Nicholas Biddle, the head of the ANU School of Politics and International Relations, and the leader of the poll project, did not mince words. He said, "Australia in March 2026 is a country under considerable strain." That's an academic. Saying in academic language that Australians are doing badly, really badly. Let's go through the numbers that jumped out most. More than 1 in 3 Australians, 34.9%, said they are finding it difficult, or very difficult to get by on their current income. That is a record high for the survey. 1 in 3 people. Think about that. In a room of 30 people, 10 of them are genuinely struggling to make ends meet. For the first time ever in the ANU poll's history, more Australians are dissatisfied with the direction of the country than satisfied. 54% dissatisfied, 46% satisfied. That has never happened before. Australia has always been, on balance, a country where people believed things were heading in a reasonable direction. That is no longer true. Merely 60% of Australians, almost 3 in 5, believe life was better 50 years ago. In 1976, before the internet, before smartphones, before modern medicine as we know it, before most of the technology and wealth we take for granted. And yet, when asked directly, the majority of Australians would trade places with that era in a heartbeat. And perhaps most striking of all, 58.5% believe life will be worse in 50 years' time. Australians are not just unhappy with the present, they have lost faith in the future. So what's driving all of this? The survey was conducted in March 2026, right in the middle of the fuel crisis, triggered by the US-Iran war and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Petrol prices were surging, grocery bills were rising. The cost of everything was going up simultaneously. But the researchers are clear that the fuel crisis is not the whole story. It's the straw that broke. The camel's back on top of pressures that have been building for years. Housing is a core driver. Rents have risen more than 50% since 2019. Mortgage repayments have surged as interest rates climbed from near zero to 4.10%. For millions of Australians, renters and homeowners alike, housing is consuming a share of their income. That simply leaves very little for anything else. Food prices are up, energy bills are up, healthcare costs are rising, and wages, while growing slightly, have not kept pace, with the combined weight of all these increases hitting at once. The ABS data behind the survey tells us that pensioner and beneficiary households have seen the sharpest rise in living costs, up more than 4% annually. These are people on fixed incomes, people who cannot simply work more hours or ask for a raise. When prices go up, they just have less. But there's something even more interesting in this data, something that goes beyond just the cost of living. The fear of losing your job has reached pandemic levels, even though unemployment is actually quite low right now. Think about that. Unemployment sits at 4.3%. That's not a high number by historical standards, And yet, 26.8% of employed Australians, more than 1 in 4 workers, believe there's a meaningful probability they will lose their job. That's the same level of job anxiety we saw during the COVID lockdowns of 2020, when the economy actually was shutting down. So why are people so scared of losing jobs when the unemployment rate is relatively low? 2 words: artificial intelligence. The proportion of employed Australians who are specifically worried that machines or computer programs will replace their jobs has nearly doubled since 2018. In March 2026, 30.3% of workers reported this concern. Nearly 1 in 3 employed Australians is worried that AI or automation will take their job. This is a new kind of economic anxiety. It's not the fear of a recession. It's the fear of becoming structurally irrelevant, of your skills being made obsolete by technology, regardless of how hard you work or how well you perform. And it's cutting across industries. This isn't just a blue-collar worry about factory robots. It's white-collar workers, office workers, people in services and administration, and even professional fields, wondering whether their role will exist in 5 years. Now, there are some genuinely positive findings buried in this data, and they're worth highlighting. Despite everything, support for democratic values in Australia remains very strong. More than 9 in 10 Australians agree that no one should be above the law. Almost 2/3 are satisfied with the way democracy works. Australians are unhappy with the outcomes they're getting from the system, but they still believe in the system itself. That's actually a meaningful distinction. Young Australians, perhaps surprisingly, tend to be more optimistic than people in middle age. They're more satisfied with the direction of the country and more confident about the future. Whether that's the optimism of youth or a genuine sense that things can be turned around, it's a data point worth holding on to. And migrants, people born overseas, are consistently more satisfied with the direction of the country and have higher confidence in Australian institutions than Australian-born citizens. Which tells you something important: the people who chose to come here still see something worth believing in, even when those of us born here are struggling to. Here is the question that the ANU researchers end their report with, and it's the right one. They write that whether Australia is democratic, consensus holds, will depend, in significant part, on whether these pressures are met, with responses that Australians judge to be fair, competent, and commensurate with the challenges they face. Fair, competent, commensurate with the challenge. Those are 3 very high bars. And right now, 54% of Australians don't think their country is meeting them. Australia is heading into a federal election later this year. The cost of living, housing, job security, and the general sense that things are heading in the wrong direction will be at the center of that campaign. This survey is, in effect, a preview of the national mood heading into that vote. Politicians of all parties are going to spend the coming months telling Australians they have the answers. What this data suggests is that Australians are listening, but they're doing so from a position of record low trust, record low optimism, and record low satisfaction. Winning that trust back is going to take more than campaign promises. So I want to ask you directly, do these numbers match your experience? Do you feel like things in Australia are heading in the right direction or the wrong one? And what would actually make a difference for you personally? Drop it in the comments. This is exactly the kind of conversation I want this channel to be having. Like and subscribe for more Australian news explained simply. See you next time.